serve on either the SEC or SEC or FCC. So the Securities and Exchange Commission, and that was created, to have oversight of the stock market after the Great Depression and what happened. Federal Communications Commission is to regulate what's on the airways, and
what does EPA stand for?
Environmental Protection Agency. All right, then we have government corporations. These are businesses that the government owns. They're not completely independent. They do need the government to approve certain things that they do. So, for example, the post office. That's a company. But if they want to raise the cost of postage, they need congressional approval. They can't just charge you whatever they want. The Amtrak. Have y'all ever ridden on Amtrak before? Okay, some of you have. So it's like the government owns it. It's a rail service that we created for transportation in this country. So that's going to be controlled. Like they can't just do whatever they want to do, or expand or whatever, because they are owned by the government. But there's a profit incentive there, but they're also federally funded. Because otherwise they'd probably go bankrupt because they don't charge enough. Okay. All right. The most influential part of our federal government in terms of bureaucracy is the executive office of the presidency. This can be whatever the president wants it to be. It can go all the way from the president's chief of staff down to somebody that is the White House chef. The reason I say that it's the most important is because their accountability is to the president. Their accountability is to serve the White House. For those of you that watch that show, West Wing, that's the executive office of the presidency. So the reality is those people have access to the president in a way that the cabinet, the regulatory agencies, the independent agencies, they don't have. If you are the president's chief of staff, you control access to the president. And while your job is not to set education policy or agriculture policy or healthcare policy, your job is to be with the president and serve them. So, if you just think about it, like when I think about in the school, who would you say is probably the most influential, knowledgeable person at Centennial High School of everything that happens here? You think so?
I would say Mr. Reedy.
Not Mr. Rosenfeld, but thanks. That was really sweet. I would say Miss Costello, without question. And she is Dr. Mayfie's secretary. So she was here all under Mr. Spain, right? She's been here at the school since it opened. And I promise you, if you have a question and you want to know something, she is the person who can answer that question. We have a new principal who, though she's been here, like she's learning a new job. And when she has a question, I promise you she can ask Miss Costello and she'll know. Because she knows everything. So she's not in charge, right? She doesn't make decisions about, school policy or what's going to happen with education or parents or whatever. But I promise you she knows more than anybody. And she and Mr. Spain had a very close relationship. They were like very good friends. And I suspect that she had as much influence on him as any person in this school. So, I was very close with him. And, he would listen to me and I could give him suggestions and advice. But when I did that, it was through the lens of she's the social studies department chair, and so she's thinking about from that perspective, whereas Ms. Costello is a person that has proximity, and that proximity makes all the difference. Okay, so here's some examples. Office of Management and Budget. Have we learned about that before? Remember, we talked about them when we talked about how they control the purse strings, so for the executive branch, and so everybody has to account to them. The National Security Council. So the National Security Council are, when you watch TV and they're like in the situation room and they're trying to decide, should we drop a bomb on somebody, should we send troops in, what are we going to do? That's the National Security Council. So if you notice on TV, sometimes the First Lady's there, sometimes the Vice President, sometimes not. That's because it can be what the President wants it to be. There is tradition. Typically the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, like the head of the military, like all of the military. Typically, there's certain people they ask to be there, but if their best friend is along the road for whatever, then their best friend gets to be in there. And the Senate doesn't have any check on that. When I say right here, it can also include pet policies of the president. So the best example I can think of that is when W ran for office, he campaigned a lot on, I'm going to be a compassionate conservative. I'm going to figure out a way to try to meld those two ideas together, because so often conservatives aren't seen as caring, maybe, in terms of government. So he created something called the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. And their whole objective was to make sure that they encouraged people of faith to perform social services and that they were supporting that initiative. Congress doesn't have to approve it. Congress has to approve a cabinet. Congress has to have some kind of say-so in the structuring of other stuff, but they do not here. Alrighty? Okay. I would like for you to flip your paper over, please. And we're going to skip question 2. I'm going to let you do that on your own. We're going to look at question 3. Question 3 says, how does the structure of the bureaucracy affect policymaking? So how does structure impact the ability of bureaucrats to impact policy? Why don't y'all work on that together, and then we'll see what you can come up with.